Hello friends, welcome to another product demo and review. Today we have an exclusive access to AstroDAO, the latest in the family of DAO products of the Near ecosystem. So today you'll be learning everything that you've always wanted to know and more about DAOs. So quick overview. We've got what are DAOs and why you should care. We're going to have a brief history of the DAOs of the Near ecosystem, the evolution of Sputnik V2 and now AstroDAO. We're also going to go through some really interesting DAO statistics of how much money has already been deployed by the existing Near ecosystem DAOs. And then finally, we're going to start diving into Astro specifically. So we're going to see the 4 different kind of out-of-the-box DAOs that are going to be possible. And then we will be diving right in and get our hands dirty and create a DAO just to get the full experience. So as you can see, the landing page at the moment is AstroDAO.com. At the moment, you can only join the waiting list. We will be using the testnet for today's purposes, but AstroDAO will be launching very soon, probably as of the time of this video. So let's get started. For the theory, we're going to rely on the source of all knowledge, the repository of information called NearWiki, wiki.near.org. There's plenty of information there to satiate your intellectual needs, but a very simple explanation is DAOs are very similar to an online corporation or an online cooperative. The only difference is that instead of having rules written in a piece of paper that nobody checks and people forget and it is very expensive to follow up, now all the rules and actions are embedded into the code on the blockchain. So it adds an element of decentralization because now the code will execute regardless of people showing up or not, and anyone can interact with that code. It doesn't rely on a jurisdiction or a specific body of information. It is a standalone living creature. So there's a fair few reasons why you may want to look into a DAO. In general, they add a lot of transparency and accountability. Once again, you can compare having funds in a treasury and the funds can only be deployed if the people vote. If there is a proposal to allocate the funds and it gets voted and everything is public, with a black box treasury approach from traditional corporations or government where nobody really knows how much money there is or how the money is being spent. Now, a brief history of DAOs on Near. So it all starts with Sputnik DAOs. Sputnik is the original DAO engine on Near and it is extremely powerful. At the moment, we have a very pretty, very solar system Mars vibe going on. But this is just a front end. When you launch the actual Sputnik, most of us are still using Sputnik V1, which is pretty good. It's pretty awesome. It certainly has had a really good uptake. I'll give you an example of the marketing vertical. We've got a lot of people making requests here for implementing projects on Near to help us grow. However, Sputnik V1 is limited in functionality. So as you can probably see, some of the only functions that you can have are create a proposal and then basically allocate funds. Sputnik V2 is much more powerful. It allows you to do anything with the DAO that you can do with the Near wallet. The problem is that it is very early days and it looks kind of like this. So it is very powerful and it is extremely exciting, but the user experience and the user interface was not quite there yet. Enter AstroDAO. So what AstroDAO is a front-end application which creates an excellent and a beautiful user interface and user experience to enable anyone to deploy a DAO and to have really complex and advanced functionality for that DAO. But it feels just like a Web 2.0 application. So I am not kidding when I say that we envision this AstroDAO to have hundreds of thousands of peoples and communities from around the world onboarded within the next 3 months. It's going to be pretty soon. So when we go to the Astro landing page, we can start to see a lot of the benefits and with comparisons with traditional companies, etc. Just really quickly before we dive into the actual product, because I've got access to the testnet, I'll show you some really cool statistics about existing DAOs on Near. Stats.sputnik.fund. So at the moment, there are 215 DAOs deployed. There are over 427,000 Near locked into those DAOs, which means that there's a fresh powder of almost $3.5 million that is eligible to be allocated to communities and any members that make proposals, such as the marketing DAO that I showed you before, or there's a bunch of different DAOs there. So far, there's been 1,041 accounts interacting with these DAOs. That would be a 100x if we go from the current 1,000 to the 100,000 we want by the end of the year. Total transactions just under 15,000. And there's been a whopping 770,000 Near distributed. The total payout, that's over $6 million that have been allocated in a fully transparent, decentralized way to members of the community who make requests to these DAOs. Oh, just updated to 784,000. Now, if you're wondering where all these Near is coming from, basically, if we look at it from a customer segment, product experience, the very first tier of DAOs, which are the current ones in Sputnik V1 and Sputnik V2, are all, well, most of them are Near ecosystem DAOs. The second tier are projects building on Near, and then the third tier would be basically anyone and everyone. So tier 1, we start looking at community DAOs. So a bit of fun fact and history. When Near was created, from the Genesis block, we can see the chart on the screen right now, 172 million Near tokens were allocated to community grants and programs. This is where all these DAOs come from. So at the moment, we've got the Community Squad DAO, the Creatives DAO, Marketing DAO, and there's more in the making. So basically, we're building infrastructure to enable us to deploy all these funds into the community. The next tier would be projects such as the one that I showed you before, like Ref Finance or Metapool. These projects are completely decentralized, which means that all the funds that they generate through token sales or through fees on the platform or through anything really, all goes into a treasury. And the DAO is managed by a council, members, and I believe at some point token holders. They've got governance tokens. And then the third tier would be where AstroDAO comes in. So after the foundation deploys, I guess, like official funds, and after projects building on Near organize themselves through a DAO, then we've got any and all community DAOs. So these may look like maybe regional DAOs, like for instance, Near Vietnam had a COVID relief program. And you can probably think of many other examples. So, are you ready to jump in? Woohoo! So, at the moment, we are on testnet. I was playing around earlier today, creating a DAO for my podcast. But let's start from scratch. So when you go, just a reminder that we are on testnet now. This link will not, I guess that technically could work if you want to go use testnet, but you'll be accessing mainnet through AstroDAO.com very soon. So the first thing that you see is that there are 4 preset DAOs that you can implement out of the box. We've got a foundation, a club, a corporation, or a cooperative. And they all have slightly different configurations. So to better understand what the difference is and which one may suit you better, we refer back to our wiki. So you can see on the screen right now that there are 3 categories that or I guess 3 areas that you have to define what you want. The first one is proposals, the second one is the structure of the DAO, and the third one is the voting power of the DAO. So as you can see, there are 2 types of proposals. One would be an open setup where anyone can make a proposal. This works really well with foundations where basically you would want to encourage anyone around the world to make a proposal, either to fund open source project or a charitable initiative, wherever it may be. Alternatively, you can have a DAO where only members can make proposals. And this would make sense in the rest of the context. So clubs, corporations, or cooperatives, you want to make sure that if people are going to be interacting with your DAO, they are part of it. The second category, which you have to define, is the structure. This is where DAOs start getting really interesting and where the power of AstroDAO really comes through. So you have two options. The first one is to create groups and committees. So basically you're able to start segmenting off the members of your DAO and you grant them different power to vote on different types of proposals. So for instance, within your foundation, corporation, or cooperative, you may want to have a marketing, a tech, and a community subgroups, and then have members of DAOs that have experience or are working on those fields propose or vote just in those areas. Once again, this is very important when it comes to decentralization, because the question always is who has the knowledge and the expertise, and there's a lot of notion of fairness. Why would somebody who is not invested in that area making a decision? Or how do we define who gets to decide things that really matter to other people? So being able to segment things off into groups and committees creates a ton of possibility to start experimenting. The other alternative would be to have a flat organization. So basically every member is the same, or they have access to the same areas of the organization. At the moment, we only have that for clubs. And then finally, we've got voting power. So the two types of categories here are democratic, where each member gets a vote. Pretty simple. This still fits within the context of each member gets a vote within the group or category they've been allocated. And then the other one, which is the one that I am most interested in, is weighted voting. So with this one, people's vote is proportional to their holdings of the governance token. And there is a lot of flexibility on what you can do here. So you can actually do it by people holding your governance token or any other token, including NEAR. Now, I'll be linking to this wiki NEAR on the description below, but you can see that the tutorial is step by step here. So we'll go over to AstroDAO testnet and let's create a corporation. Oh, so a really quick thing to clarify. These presets are fully customizable. These are just suggestions of the use cases that we've thought about. You can 100% come up with your own use case and customize it in any way that you want. So we get confirmation on the type of structure that we're setting up, a business with shareholders or a startup or a company. Proposals, members only. Structure, members only. I believe this is a UI error. It should be groups and committee. And then voting power weighted. The more tokens you own, the more voting power you get. Select and customize. We get the little option here, the pencil to customize, but we will leave it as it is. Before you continue, a DAO's rules, members, and transactions are recorded on the NEAR blockchain and publicly viewable by anyone. So please do not do any sneaky shit that could get you in legal trouble. So let's imagine we are creating a DAO for donut deliveries. So members will be able to vote on the design and the flavors of the donuts. And then we sell the donuts as NFTs and the proceed goes to the DAO. And then people can redeem the physical donuts with NFTs if they live within selected cities. Fuck, that's amazing. Oh my God. Can you tell that I'm hungry? I've been fasting for a while. Okay, so we've got the DAO delivery donuts. Triple D purpose to empower the citizens of the world to reimagine what is possible with the creative and culinary output of donuts, DAOs, DeFi, it's all Ds, and NFTs. I think that's pretty cool. And then finally, there is a section to add links. We can add as many links as we want. So this would be really useful if we had a website, Twitter, Discord, anywhere where you want your DAO to live. We won't add any links just yet. Next step is to select a flag. Yeah, whatever, that looks cool. So we review our setup name. The name will be on the actual smart contracts. Yes, sir. So we're gonna click Launch DAO. It will prompt us to confirm the transaction. At the moment, it is 5 near on testnet. I'm actually not sure how much it's gonna cost on mainnet. And our DAO has come into existence. We're in. So you can see on the menu bar on the left that there's a few categories. First, we've got tasks, and within tasks there are bounties, polls, and plugins. Then we've got the Treasury, which includes tokens and NFTs. Groups, divided by all members, council and committee. This is a default, and you can create new groups. And finally, governance, including the voting policy and voting tokens. Now, you may have realized that a couple of the functions are not active yet. This is on testnet, and they will be activated very soon. So let's just dive in very quickly, one by one. So with tasks, the first one would be bounties. So bounties are awesome because you can basically create, as the name suggests, you can basically create the bounty on chain where the DAO manages people claiming the bounty and redeeming it. Traditionally, people would have used GitHub to post a bounty and upload the code or the solution, and then the payment had to be handled elsewhere. So it's really cool that now we've got the ability to do it all within the DAO, or at least processing the payment and the transparency of who's doing the work. We probably would still do GitHub. So let's create a funky new bounty. We're going to pay 5 near for funky donor NFT designs and recipe. So the bounty will ask us how many people can claim this. We want to have up to 10 funky donut designs, so 10 people. And if somebody claims this bounty, they must submit a solution within 3 days. Otherwise, it will be rejected and other people can claim it. Now, at the bottom, this is really cool. You'll see the vote details. So at the moment, we only have a council and committee members. So either one of them with 50% can vote this through. And something really interesting about the bond: to prevent spam, you must pay a bond. The bond will be returned to you when your proposal is approved or rejected. The bond will not be returned if your proposal is marked as spam or expires. I suspect there's going to be a lot of DAOs making a lot of money by reporting proposals as spam. The bounty still needs to be approved. You'll see it won't appear on the bounty section until it's been approved. Instead, it will appear on the main dashboard as an active proposal, and then people can vote this one through. So we'll just really quickly vote through the process. Very simple. I am the only member at the moment, so I'm going to click yes, vote, approve the transaction. So we've refreshed the page. We can see that now there are no active proposals. And if we look at ended, donor design has been approved. Now, any member of the DAO will be able to go to the bounties section, see the available bounties, and anyone can claim it. The first 10 people get to claim it within 3 days. They get to submit the designs. Pretty cool, eh? Now, the next section are polls. So basically, this allows you to create on-chain polling. Should we have keto donuts? I believe the answer should be yes. But let's put the poll to the DAO and see what the people think. So we can see the poll here. It will also appear on our community dashboard as an active proposal. And then similar to the bounty, we can just vote and it should record our preference. Recent proposals. should we have keto donuts has been approved. This function obviously becomes a lot more popular as the number of members grow. Instead of having endless discussions, you can just put out the proposal and make a decision. Now, the plugin section is not active just yet, but I do want to show you really quickly what it will look like, because basically plugins is where you will be able to create any function call to existing contracts on the Near ecosystem. So this is insanely powerful and it has unlimited functionality. This is where you will be able to stake, for instance, your DAOs funds, which is in and of itself huge. Imagine those $3.5 million that we mentioned before, being able to earn returns for staking. And this is roughly what it will look like. So looking forward to that developing further. We'll probably do a separate video once that is live. Now let's move on to the Treasury. So the Treasury is where you can see all the funds in your DAO. We can see that the Treasury now has 50 Near that I just transferred, and these can hold any number of tokens. The most exciting, it can also hold some NFTs. Now, just because we're in testnet, I'm not going to be able to do this because I will have to go get some NFTs in testnet. But you can see where this is going. So some of the cool features that you should be looking out for are, you will be able to define membership of a DAO by people holding an NFT. So there's some early conversations happening to create some NFT collectives. Now, moving on to the next section, we've got all members. At the moment, it's just me. But then we've got two cool things. So we've got council, which is usually a smaller, more restricted, more senior team. And then we've got committee, which can be more open to the community. So to give you an example, Ref Finance at the moment has a council of 3 core team members, maybe 4. And then there's a community board committee. Either one of them can approve proposals, and sometimes you may want to have like a tiered approach. This can also apply to any group. So here we can add groups. So for instance, we could very easily create groups for keto donuts, vegan donuts in North America, in Europe, in Australia, most likely by city. It would make sense to have different groups for different regions. And then finally, governance. At the moment, the voting token has not been enabled, but once again, I just really quickly want to show you. This is what the NFTs will look like. Oh my God, that looks so good. That looks so good. So you can see in this example that we will be able to define who create proposals and who can vote, and you can make it very specific from the different groups that you've created, which is super cool. I'm not doing that now for the demo because I'm the only one in the DAO. But you can see that once the voting token mechanism has been activated, the interface will prompt you to create a new token, adopt an existing token that already is out there. So for instance, something like Meta or Ref, or you can even choose a Near native token. Near whales get to vote. Yes, sir. Now the interface is super simple. Token name, token symbol, supply, avatar, and you are done. So anyway, as you can see, extremely powerful stuff. So I hope you enjoyed this overview of AstroDAO. It will be launching very soon. In the meantime, you can join the waitlist. And I've got a cheeky surprise. If you've made it till the end of this video, you are eligible for a Nearpunk giveaway. All you have to do is subscribe to the Silicon Craftsman channel and leave a comment below with what you think about AstroDAO and a potential use case that you foresee for DAOs. Could be for your community, for a business model that you have, for an online blockchain community that you think that could benefit from this type of organization. We will be giving away a Nearpunk to a person randomly. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will keep in touch.